Welcome to the 360 Shift, where health meets purpose and Africa's spirit of community and strength comes alive. I am your host, Kenneth Ogendo. Here we explore how mindset, movement, and meaning shape our well being. One real story, one healthy habit, and one community at a time. Let's shift together body, mind, and purpose. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 360 podcast. This is Ken, and I'm here to have tough conversations with you. The tech divide. Moving swiftly to the next topic within this topic. The tech divide has also predisposed the boys to habits they cannot conquer. We have the average age of access to smartphones at 12 in Britain. And would argue that's the same age in Kenya and in many parts of the world right now. 12 years. You get a smartphone. At 13, evidently, as written in that report, boys are accessing online pornography. And if you look at the Kenya Demographic Health Survey Report 2022, the first sexual debut for boys, it is as low as 10. For girls, around 9. We are in a crisis. Our boys are overly sexualized by the gadgets that we parents buy them, and when they get to teenage, they are not able to run away from that trajectory because they're already hooked. Pornography creates this dopamine feeling, and you cannot escape from it. You might need a lot of interventions. And the sad thing with the sexual algorithms that are so tainted online, they are coupled with a lot of violence, and we have seen violence cases rising and young boys being taken to court in juvenile and in prison because of things they never thought they could do. Very young minds at the age of 13, 14, 15 are being exposed to wrong content, and they end up doing what they see. It is high time we ask ourselves whether we need to put policies as Australia is doing, where they have passed a law that says anyone who's below 16 does not have access to social media. Bless the Prime Minister of Australia. She needs to have a webinar with all presidents in the world, because this is a pandemic. We are brewing a mental health illness across generations that will take us years to repair. Our boys are now engaged in gaming. As much as we are saying that boys need to have engagement as they have conversations, but now they are into gaming. And interestingly, I bought my kids Nintendo some years back, and I've put in very stringent rules on how they handle Nintendo. And I even buy them FC 25, 24, and now they want me to buy them FC 26. I am taking my time because I want them to create a habit. Do not more than 30 minutes on gaming. But now many boys are spending more time gaming, locked in their bedrooms. How can that secure a talent in football or basketball? How will that boy pot a basketball like Steve Curry the other day from outside the pitch all the way into the basketball? You need to do that 10,000 times. If you're doing that in your bedroom on a game, you'll never do it. We shall never watch you. So we need to set up our boys for success. Not spend copious amounts of time on games. As much as games are entertaining, we need to look at mental health. They should not spend more than 2 hours, actually more than an hour, actually more than 30 minutes, so they can go and play and get careers in football, get careers in basketball, get careers in all manners of hobbies that are out there. We can't name all of them here, but they need to explore how they can make money, study. So we have a problem, and these gadgets are killing the social abilities of our generation. The boys cannot even take a girl out and ask him for a date. We cannot measure up to what the girl is expecting. And this is a huge conversation we should be having next year. I would like to say that betting is another problem that is taking a lot of time from the young boys in our country and globally. And unfortunately, betting has been coupled together with football. Football is such a legitimate sport, but driven by a lot of commercial interests, and these commercial interests are not for the good of the boy child. The boys think that they can actually win a car and win a jackpot so that they can make money. Yet the elite who own these betting companies are becoming richer and richer. It is a vicious cycle. Can the governments of this world rein in on these betting companies and see how we can have regulated betting, or even stop it once and for all? Sounds funny. I know it is employing so many people, but also destroying so many young men. They are hooked to gaming. In Britain, according to this report, this is the best report I saw this year, Australia has come up with an institute for addressing strangulation, because boys have been hooked to those videos that make them look at sex in a very wicked manner, where they end up killing someone whom they're having sex with. And it's mess, it's violence. And again, when you look at Britain's response on gaming, they have a commission or an institute that is handling gaming disorders. And these were developed in 2020, meaning the economy there is alive to the effects, the debilitating effects of gaming. And these are the things that cannot allow a boy to pursue a career in sports or academia or science when you're spending 60-70% of your time on a gadget. We are ruining their lives by giving them the freedom. So we need to start way early. I want to move swiftly to another area that has seen a lot of generational shifts. And we are in a gender transition. Gender roles are shifting. Traditionally, men were used to provide and protect and build a house. That's when a man felt he's a man, and a woman saw the value of a man in that. My grandmother respected my grandfather for exactly that. Their union was for survival, not for romance. And right now we have escalating cases of divorce because the current unions are modeled on the old order, but are not alive to the new realities. Because back in the day, my grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, I would imagine they would go and hunt for game. You bring home a rabbit, your wife will be so happy because you braved the forest. Testosterone. A woman could not do that. And so a man was respected for doing exactly that. I come back home with a goat, with gazelle, with a rabbit. Whatever I bring home doesn't matter. And the wife would graciously cook it, and the man would eat it. And the only thing a man needed was just to get food and sex and rest and sleep and go back to the forest the following day. The roles were crystal clear. There was no ambiguity. Fast forward, due to the World War II, as well articulated by Dr. Miles Monroe, who tells that when nations go to war, the women who are left behind, even in Kenya, Mau Mau, another story that I can tell if you find time. But he explains it how they sent people to the World War II, World War I and World War II. Men were sent to war. Women remained back at home, making bullets, driving tractors. And when the men came back from war, they found their women are not housewives. They had moved on with lives, and they can actually exist without them. They were empowered to make money. And that's the history we are coming from. Same case to our Mau Mau story in Africa, here in Kenya. The Mount Kenya community sent so many men to World War II and World War I. And when those men came back, those women were already used to be independent. And that's why you find the women in Central Province have a high sense of independence. and they may not tolerate an abusive marriage, as opposed to those in other communities I don't have time to mention, can tolerate a lot of nonsense in a marriage. But because these ones were exposed to independence and empowerment, they cannot handle that. So you find we are in a total crisis as a people, as a globe. From America all the way to Africa, we have the same problems. The wars are the root causes of the changes that we are seeing. And now back from doing mechanic jobs in the factories, making bullets and going to the farm, now we are all hunting on LinkedIn. So the dynamics in the marriage setting have changed. My grandfather and my grandmother were getting married for survival. There was nothing like romance. But now romance and passion and intimacy are the new currencies for the current crop of women we have. And nobody's preparing the boy child to marry this new girl. And neither is this girl prepared to marry the man who is facing reduced agency, because women's agency is increasing and men's agency is reducing because power is finite in a family setting. If you look at this glass, if this is the stroke of power, this is what men had before, and women are just here. So the women's agency is increasing, and the men's agency, they have to share decision making, they have to share investments, no longer at ease. Men are no longer at ease. Now a woman can buy a house, she can buy a car, she can buy her food, she can have a condominium, she can have everything she needs. So she is not going to a man for those things. But this man, these boys, all of us, including the millennials, we have all been brought up with dads who earn more than moms, dads who are doing more than moms, and we thought that this is the same model we are going to bequeath the next generation. But voila, when you get into marriage and realize, oh, man, my wife can actually earn more. I'm a good example. Just before I got married, guess what happened? There was this strike, and my wife's salary short mine. Thank God I read some books. But if I was to follow my father's model, where he's the one who does everything, I could have been divorced by now. And you can see divorce rates have gone high because no one is preparing us on these realities. Later on, you have had ups and downs with my wife. Sometimes I'm the one earning more. Sometimes she's the one earning more. I think for the last few years, I've been earning more. But I'm so ready because she's in business. She's going to earn more than me in the next few years. I have to be ready for that reality. And so we are not being defined by who earns what, because we have agreed that there's nothing like hands money and how money. It is all our money. We appreciate the mentors who taught us these things before I got married. And because people have no training, no coaching, no accountability on these things, that's why marriages are failing. That's why the young men are lost. They do not know how to marry, who to marry, when to marry. Because it was taught to you that you must earn more than your wife. The economy is telling you, no, she can actually earn more than you. The girls are wondering who will they marry because they also told the same narrative. They also need to change. Woe unto you as a dad if you're telling your girl that she needs to have a master's and PhD for her to get married. We need to rethink these models if they are to have sex and keep it pure. Ladies and gentlemen, people are no longer marrying for survival but for romance. And it's high time we start asking ourselves, what exactly does a man look for? Who is a man? How do we prepare men for the modern woman? And how do we prepare women for the modern man? The young man who is looking for love but can't find it. And they have actually given up. Nowadays you go to the clubs, you have got more women in clubs and joints, you wonder, where are the boys? Have you seen that? It is interesting. Gone are the days when you could go to a club and find full of men. Nowadays I go to clubs and ask my wife, hey, where are the men here? The girl child is empowered. She's no longer looking for a man to give her a house and pocket money. She has that. So we have to social re-engineer ourselves as an economy, as a community. If you look at initiation, circumcision, let me talk about that shift a little bit. Initiation was happening back in the days to prepare boys for manhood and was well done by the African community. But in recent times, we have seen initiation being reduced to just a ceremony. It is now a medical procedure. We are no longer giving it the premium and impetus it had when we were growing up. In fact, my dad, when he went for initiation, he didn't even go to a health facility. At least I went to a health facility. Right now, initiation is being tied with some rites of passage programs, and I want to salute Man Enough. I want to salute some churches which are doing a great job in mentoring young men into how to become men. I am in a group of men. We have put our sons in a group called Boys to Men, and I want to salute those men for bringing me on board. We are now training these boys how to transit from boys to men. We are being intentional. In the previous era, when our dads were growing up, it was part of the system. But now you need to be intentional and create virtual communities to allow boys to have safe spaces where they can talk to one another and talk about their fears and failures and purpose without feeling judged. As a dad, you cannot take care of your son and everything. He needs an uncle or a friend to talk to him. You need to connect your boys to such entities and let them thrive. We need to rethink initiation and not just look at it as a medical procedure, but look at mentorship for now and into posterity. Our boys play football, they do life together. We hope they do life together. You know, a man needs a band of brothers to walk with and die with, but only one woman to die for. All those values can only be taught in such safe spaces. I would like to talk about what is healthy masculinity vis-a-vis toxic masculinity. And next year, when I'll be launching these discussions with my guests, we shall most definitely talk about this at depth. One thing I want to mention: healthy masculinity has been neglected, and we tend to focus so much on toxic masculinity. Healthy masculinity is defined by leadership with accountability, courage with humility, provision with compassion. This is what every boy wants. This is exactly what every man needs. We all want to leave a worthwhile legacy. Every man wants to be identified with something. We want to wake up to a job. Work. Not a job, according to Miles Monroe. Purpose. Purpose-driven. A man without purpose is rudderless. It's like a ship without anchor. So a man needs to have purpose. And that's healthy masculinity at its best. And I would like to compare that with toxic masculinity, which is defined by people thinking that all a man can do is to have sexual conquests. Have you heard of people counting body types, body counts? I've laid all this number of women. It is not cool. It is not cool at all. Have you heard that? Body counts? It is embarrassing. It was said that a man should not cry. A man should not show weakness. That's toxic. A man can show weakness. You can shed tears. We can cry because men do not like sharing. Women do share more, and that's why they live longer. It is high time we start re-engineering how men think and meet more times and share. Toxic masculinity is defined by power without control, talking down on people. And those are men who are insecure because they have not found their identity. And it is high time we invest in finding our identity. I want to end this podcast and say that we need shifts in the following areas. We need to have families shift in how dads engage with their boys. And that starts with me and you. We need to just not provide, but be present. Engage with your sons. Go to the floor and play. Bougie. Run on the carpet. And then moms, please release your sons. Do not overprotect. We do not want boys who are emasculated. We do not want sissies. We want boys who man up. More boys who are courageous, resilient. Boys who show up. Boys who take opportunity with zeal. We want to see the oomph and the energy in these boys. We need to reawaken that. And at the community level, let us come up with safe spaces like I've mentioned. And I want to emphasize on accountability platforms. And let us mentor these boys together. And look for those men and women, Transform Nations, Money Enough, Crucible. There are so many programs out there that we can engage with globally. And lastly, we need policy shifts. Can the education system be sensitive to the way of learning of boys, because boys learn more by doing as opposed to sitting and listening? Can we have more men in ECD? It shocks me when I find all the people training my boys are all women at lower levels. But that is exactly where we need to invest in. Let us have more men engaging in the early childhood education so that even the girls can feel the love of the man, the presence of boys and manhood in the society, so that we can have a sane society. Can the justice system stop criminalizing these boys and move them towards rehabilitation? How can we put those safeguards at policy level? This is a hot button topic. I can talk hours on end. I would like to end it right there. And I think we need to all agree that we need a 360 shift. Change in everything, politically, economically, at the marriage front. We need a mindset shift. Keep it here, keep it locked for the next conversation. I'll be introducing my next speakers next year. We are looking forward to a great 2026. And we want to encourage gender equity. We don't want to lose our girls. We do not want to lose our boys. So, what am I saying? At the end of the day, should we retain some of these traditions, or should we socially engineer them? For example, chivalry. Should men continue opening doors for women, pulling a chair for the wife or the girlfriend? Should we continue being the ones who close the door at home? Like I know my wife expects me to make sure that the front gate, the back door are all locked. Is that the value I should pass to my children? I think some of those things are very commendable. We cannot whitewash or dismiss everything that we have seen over the years, but we should carefully choose those values we want to bequeath to the next generation. Are we saying now that because men and women can equally provide, can equally buy houses, can equally go to school and fend for themselves, protect themselves, but we would want this current generation to start socially engineering and agreeing that a man can be a leader of the home and a woman can be the manager, for example? Like they need to co-create and come up with a way of allowing leadership to prevail, compassion to prevail. Based on the strengths of the man and the strengths of the woman, we can co-create a new world order because the world has changed and we have to accept it. But we need to retain the good and shun the bad and the evil and the ugly. I want to end with a quote by Martin Luther King, who said that the ultimate true measure of a man is where he stands in times of controversy and not in times of comfort and convenience. It is high time for men to stand up and for great men and women to stand up and face the identity crisis of the boy child, because we all have sons and daughters and we want to prepare them for the future. And we want them to be comfortable in those relationships and in the workspaces, and for them to pursue their God-given talents and destinies. Keep it here, keep it locked. Thank you for joining me on the 360 Shift by Kenneth Ogendo, where we redefine what it means to live well, lead with purpose, and grow together in community across Africa and beyond. If today's episode moved you, share it and connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all at AfyaFit360. Until next time, stay healthy, strong, and whole.